Baseball is a sport that loves its cycles. Great stars emerge, shine brightly for a period, and inevitably reach that point where rumors speak louder than statistics. It is on that fine line between past greatness and present usefulness that Nolan Arenado finds himself today. We are in October 2025, an off-season that promises turbulence, and Arenado's name once again sits at the center of speculation. Since last season, when the Houston Astros nearly brought him to Texas, there's been a lingering sense that his days in St. Louis are numbered. But now, the rumors have a new address, and it's not just any place. It's Hollywood, the Los Angeles Dodgers, perhaps the most aggressive and daring franchise of the past decade, appear as the most realistic destination for the veteran third baseman. Andrew Wright of Newsweek was blunt. It's almost certain Arenado will not play in St. Louis next year. And among all options, Los Angeles seems the most plausible, both in terms of technical fit and franchise history. After all, anyone who follows MLB knows, when it comes to spending, taking risks, and turning stars into complementary players, the Dodgers don't hesitate. But why Arenado and why now? The answer isn't simple. To understand it, we must look at both sides. First, the Cardinals situation. They face a clear dilemma. Keep a heavy contract player already on the downslope of his career, or clear payroll space to begin a deeper rebuild. Even if it means eating part of the deal, St. Louis logic seems to point toward the latter. On the other side, the Dodgers have shown over the years that they're willing to stockpile talent in any part of the field, even at the cost of criticism about buying competitiveness. And when it comes to the playoffs, every detail matters. Nolan Arenado is no longer the slugger who terrorized pitchers between 2015 and 2019, but he is still a valuable piece. At 34, his reflexes remain sharp. His glove is still a shield at third base, and his experience is an asset that cannot be measured solely in numbers. Arenado boasts 8 All-Star appearances and 10 Gold Gloves, achievements that place him among the historic defenders at his position. He doesn't need to be an everyday player to justify a spot on an elite roster. In Los Angeles, he can play a specific strategic role, partial rotation, platoons, impact in crucial postseason situations, and above all, defensive security in the tensest moments. Critics might ask, if Arenado is no longer the same with the bat, why invest in him? The answer lies in context. Max Muncy, the current third baseman in Los Angeles, is a good player, but his inconsistency and recent injury history raise red flags. The Dodgers don't want to gamble in October, and having Arenado as a defensive insurance policy and offensive alternative could mean the difference between elimination and a World Series berth. Besides, Los Angeles doesn't need Arenado to carry its lineup. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and other stars already handle that. Arenado would be, at most, the cherry on top, and a cherry with elite pedigree. Looking at his recent stats, the offensive decline is clear. His batting average no longer matches his Colorado Rockies years, and his power at the plate doesn't intimidate as much as before. Still, his OPS remains competitive, especially under pressure. More importantly, defensively, he is still among the league's best. In metrics like defensive runs saved and outs above average, Arenado continues to show value. Add to that the possibility of the Cardinals covering part of his contract to make a trade viable, and you have a scenario where the Dodgers could add elite talent without severely compromising financial flexibility. It's curious to think that Arenado began his career in the National League West, spending 8 seasons with the Rockies. There, he built his reputation as one of the finest defensive third basemen the sport has ever seen. Returning to the division, now in Dodger blue, would carry an almost poetic flavor. A reunion with old rivals, but on an even bigger stage. For Los Angeles fans, it would strengthen not only the roster, but also the narrative, the drama, the idea that the Dodgers continue to attract big names. Of course, all of this depends on St. Louis. The organization must decide how far it is willing to go, perhaps sacrificing money, maybe even including a prospect, to offload Arenado's contract. The Cardinals know that without such flexibility, finding suitors will be difficult. But they also know that the Dodgers are among the few teams capable of absorbing big names without fear of inflating payroll. After all, we're talking about one of baseball's financial powerhouses. And how would the fit work in practice? Arenado would hardly play more than 120 games in a season. His usage would be strategic, planned rest days, carefully chosen matchups, and a focus on maximizing his contribution in decisive moments. He could enter defensively to protect tight wins, be used as a situational hitter in the playoffs, or simply provide security when Muncy is unavailable. It's not an exaggeration to say Arenado could become one of the most important bench pieces, even without being an everyday starter. This perspective also raises another question. What would Arenado's legacy in Los Angeles be? He no longer needs to prove he's a superstar. That's long established. But the chance to add a World Series ring to his career could be the missing chapter in his story. And the Dodgers know it. You know that player who doesn't shine every day, but shows up when it matters most? That could be exactly Arenado's role. For comparison, think of Adrian Beltre in his final years or Evan Longoria with the Giants. Neither was a centerpiece of their lineups anymore, but both had invaluable worth in decisive moments. Arenado fits that mold. He wouldn't be the hero every night, but he could be the one responsible for a defensive play that changes the course of a playoff series. And in the end, that's what separates champion from almost champions. The most fascinating part of the story is that it isn't just about stats or contracts. It touches on something deeper, the way franchises perceive the value of experience. The Dodgers could bet on Arenado not only for what he still delivers on the field, but also for what he represents in the clubhouse, for the psychological impact of adding a Hall of Fame caliber player to the roster. How many young infielders would benefit from training and learning alongside Nolan Arenado? That invisible effect could be as valuable as any highlight reel play at third base. And in the end, it all comes down to that old offseason question. Is it worth it? For St. Louis, the answer might be yes, if the goal is to clear space and begin a new cycle. For Los Angeles, the answer might be yes, if the goal is to secure every detail needed to return to the World Series. For Arenado, the answer is more personal. Perhaps it's a chance to write the last great chapter of his career with one of the sport's most iconic franchises. Rumors are still rumors, but as we know, they don't come out of nowhere. When analysts start pointing to the Dodgers as a realistic destination, and when the Cardinals themselves show signs of willingness to facilitate a trade, it means the smoke may actually signal fire. And then, it's up to baseball fans to imagine, what would it be like to see Arenado in blue, back in the National League West, stepping into Dodger Stadium before 50,000 fans and preparing for another playoff run? The image is powerful, and perhaps we're not too far from seeing it become reality. Nolan Arenado's future is uncertain, but the sense is that his next chapter won't be in St. Louis. It could be in Los Angeles. It could be elsewhere, but one thing is certain. When we talk about players of this caliber, the market always finds a way to put the pieces in place. And if that place is Hollywood, get ready, because this story has everything to take on cinematic contours. What about you? What do you think? Should the Dodgers bet on Arenado and turn a veteran into a luxury strategic piece? Or would it be a mistake to spend money and space on a player in decline? Leave your opinion in the comments, and let's continue the conversation, because the offseason has barely started, but it already promises to be one of the most interesting in recent years.